Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to another episode of Her Inspired Mind podcast. This morning, I am so excited. I will be interviewing a new friend that I made. She is speaking to us all the way from Denver, Colorado. She is a personal finance expert, author, speaker, and CEO. Please welcome Miss Kim Curtis.
Thank you, Rebecca. Thanks for having me. I look forward to our conversation.
Absolutely. Thank you for taking the time today to speak with me, to share your story, and just share some nuggets with our listeners. So I would just like to begin. If you could just share a little bit about where did you begin your journey in finances? What made you take that step into this path?
Mm. Well, it certainly wasn't the money, even though
Mm.
you would think it would be.
Oh.
Uh, I actually have a legal background, but what happened is that I was a mess when it came to money.
Mm.
Uh, growing up, it was crazy. I had government assisted lunches. I had to give a red ticket that looked like a lottery ticket, not a lottery ticket. It looked like a raffle ticket.
Mm.
We
Okay.
all know what those red tickets look like. I had one of
Yeah.
those, and every
Wow.
day I had to give that to the cashier for my lunch. And the shame around that, and the whole not enough, and who am I, and other people had money and not me. But the shame around that was that it was so, everyone knew who I was by that red
Mm.
ticket. I was
Wow.
defined by that. I defined myself by that red ticket. Isn't that interesting?
Mm.
Um, and so when I went to school and graduated, I completely defaulted on my school loans. Like I had no business having any idea of my debt, my school loan debt, the implications to my credit report. And in today's dollars, that it was significant. It was about 92,000 in today's dollars.
Wow.
That's how in debt I
Mm.
was. And
Wow.
that's how unconscious I was around debt because I had no understanding of what that meant. But what happened, surprisingly, is that I had an anonymous donor put $1,000 on my school loan debt.
Wow.
And the fact that, first of all, when how you do money is how you do life. I'm a
Mhm.
firm believer of that. And so if your head is in the sand on money, there are other areas in your life that we are ignoring.
Mm.
And the fact that I even opened up that statement was a shock in itself to notice that the balance went down.
Mm.
And because it was anonymous, I couldn't ask them, why me? Or what do you want?
Mm.
I really
Yeah,
had to
right.
ask them, yeah, like, what do you want from me, man? Who does
People
that,
don't just
right?
give for no reason. What do you want in return, right?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So I had to ask myself those questions of, well, if someone believes in me, what is it that they believe in? What do I believe in? Who am I and who do I want to be?
Mm.
And I have to tell you, Rebecca, it was almost like a snap. It was like, okay, that was probably the first time that I recognized that I'm responsible for the choices that I make
Mm.
as it relates to the outcomes in my life. That, events in our lives are whatever they are. And we, early on in our lives, when we were younger, really don't necessarily recognize that we have control over those. But by the choices that I made, and that moment I knew it, that from that point on, I would be responsible for where I go.
Come on.
And
Yes.
yeah, and it was remarkable. It was if I were to really be honest with you, Rebecca, it was like self-love.
Mm.
It was like that moment I was like, okay, I have like that self-respect.
Yeah.
This is who I'm going to be. I actually am going to love myself enough to pay attention to the choices that I'm making
Mm.
so that I have better outcomes.
Wow.
And
I
it
love
was,
that.
yeah, I mean, it was a journey, trust me, into
Mm.
finance. I mean, think of it, getting rid of all of that debt was a very disciplined, structured, methodical approach of
Mm.
every time I got a pay increase, I increased the amount on my school loan debt.
Mm.
Um, and lived with roommates and you name it for quite a while before I could figure out and get on the other side of that debt.
Wow.
And here we are today. Someone in finance, who would have known back then that 10 years later I would end up in finance?
Wow. That's amazing. And I think it's just beautiful. One thing that you said, like, because someone noticed you and they decided to invest in you, that one person changed the whole trajectory of your life, not only financially, but in how you looked at yourself and how, because that one person believed in you, then you were able to take responsibility for where your life was going and begin to love yourself in every way, in every part of your life. That is so beautiful. It just shows how we, I talk about that all the time. Like when I speak or I share content, all I worry about is that one person because you just never know. Like you felt unseen, but you felt seen, but in a negative way. But the fact that
Mhm.
someone saw that you were worth investing in, that changed your whole life. And look at what you're doing now.
So true. I mean, I when I think, Rebecca, of your listeners, think back of times in your life where someone may have done an act of kindness. It could be a
Mm.
smile,
Mm-hmm.
you know? I mean, I remember in high school, my math teacher, I was terrible. Here I am in finance. I was terrible in math. At least I
Me too.
thought I was. Yeah. And at the time my last name was a W, had a W that started with, so they put you in alphabetical, and I was always in the back corner of the room, and I
Mm,
didn't know that my eyes, that I needed glasses, so
wow.
I could never see anything. And of course, being on the edge of ADD, I was like, talk to everyone around me, and whatever. And that math teacher put me in the front of the room where his desk was, right next to him.
Mm,
And that was like humiliating and whatever. And then he brought my friend to sit right next to me.
hmm,
And that act of kind, I ended up doing really well in the class because I could see the board. He
mm,
cared enough to put me close and then bring my friend so that it wasn't like a punishment.
mm.
And
Wow.
that was another thing that I distinctly remember that made a
Mm,
difference in the outcome of my math class and also made me think maybe I could be better in math. So it
wow.
doesn't take much.
Yes, I love that. I think sometimes we underestimate the impact that we can truly make, even with the smallest gesture. Like you just said, with a smile. Like
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
don't know if someone at home doesn't even receive love, that has never heard I love
Mhm.
you. Like I
Mm.
have, like my husband, he grew up in a household where he didn't hear I love you. He didn't get hugs. He didn't get, and to me, I'm just like, what? That's normal in my family. Like I'm like telling my kids all day, I love
Yeah.
you and hugging and cuddles
Mhm.
and stuff. Um, but the fact that you just mentioned that, like he didn't even have to tell you anything just because
Mhm.
of what he did, that act of kindness, it made such a huge impact in your life. Wow. I love it. So, like you mentioned that you were bad at math, but here you are in finances. You were in debt, but here you are in
Mhm.
finances.
Mhm.
How did you change your story with money? How did that happen?
Yeah, and honestly, that snap that I talked about,
Mhm.
that believing in me, that self-care, self-love, self-respect, I think that success around money is this invisible thread that is navigates through every part of our human existence,
Mm,
our relationships, you name it, our health. Money is that thread that intertwines through all of that. So I think understanding and the starting of that is, who are you?
mm,
And if you don't respect yourself, which is hard as women culturally and socialization, it's been hard for us to recognize that we have to take care of ourselves first,
yes.
that we have to know who we are and believe in ourselves so that we can love on our kids, so that we can love with our mates, so that we can be 100% available in a way that matters
Hmm.
versus give, give, give and not expect anything back.
Mm,
So, when it comes to, so mindset starts with, and it's an inside job, which you probably
hmm.
already know this, I'm sure, in this
Yes.
podcast for Inspired Mind. There's a reason it's called that.
Yes.
It's always an inside job, right?
Yes. Yes.
And money success starts with you, not
Mm,
outside. And I think culturally, we tend to think it's an outside game in terms of saving and investing and everything about that, when
mm,
really it's quite the opposite. It's always starting with yourself, paying attention to yourself, caring for yourself so that you have enough bandwidth to then start doing the basic steps around money to get to where you are today. So for instance, for me, with all that debt, and people, let's just talk about people with credit card debt.
hmm.
You have to, like, what's my reality?
Mm.
Get that head out of the sand
Yeah.
and write down how much debt do you really have?
Mm.
How many credit cards do you have? What is the balance on each? What is the interest rate on each? And what is the minimum payment for each one of those?
Mm.
And then decide which one to start with. It could be the smallest balance so that you get a big win and you
Mm.
get the momentum,
Yeah.
or it could be the one with the highest interest rate.
Mm.
And you pay that first to get rid of it. Well, let's just say the smallest balance. Um, and you pay the minimum on the other cards,
Mm.
and then that gets paid off. And then whatever you did to that, take it to the next one. Again, continue to pay the minimum on the other cards, but you do the maximum you can for that, and you work your way through.
Mm.
And what happens is you get this momentum. You start
Mm.
to feel pretty good because you see progress. And when you
Yeah.
see progress and how long it takes, you're all of a sudden more intentional about where you spend.
Mm.
And so for me, I like to call it wealth consciousness
Mm. I love that.
because so many of us walk unconscious.
Mm.
And if we get into our higher selves of who we are, and that's love, self respect,
Mm.
joy, delight, we're then able to have a higher frequency that allows us for money to find us. Because
Yes.
in our world, we say, I need money, I need money. No, 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 no. It's quite the opposite. Money needs you to become something.
Mm.
Money
That's
is
good.
actually looking for you.
Mm.
And that's really
Powerful.
important to understand. It's a paradigm shift. Money is looking for you,
Mm.
not the other way around. And the only way it can find you is through your ideas, your creativity, your imagination, your dreams, your vision, your values
Mm.
to become something of use to the world. I think Rebecca, that when we talked earlier, I grew up in Buffalo, New York,
Mm.
and it straddles the border of Canada and New York State. And
Okay.
Niagara Falls is right there, the
Mm.
beautiful, magnificent Niagara Falls.
It is
And
beautiful.
oh, exactly, and the roaring of the water. And Niagara Falls actually powers a lot of New York State in terms of
Mm.
electricity.
Okay.
But the falls by itself has no power. It only gets it from the power plants that line its banks.
Mm.
That's similar to money. Money has no value other than
Mm.
what we give it. So it needs your ideas and creativity and imagination to become something, whether it be a business that you create, a clothing line,
Mm.
to become of value to others in the world. And so I think that's important for the listeners to really hear that that when we think we need it, no, actually, that's really not true. If you do think you need it, you will always need it because
Mm.
that's what you're putting out there.
Yes. I love
But
that.
if you know that, yeah, yeah.
No, I love that. If you could talk a little bit more about that, because my money mindset was not in a good place. It just changed a few months ago when I started to learn about that wealth consciousness. And like you said, if you're always worrying about money, that's the energy we're putting when we're repelling basically money from coming to us. And it took me a
Yeah.
little bit to understand that. Like, I'm like, okay, like you see people who are always grinding hard and working hard, and they never seem to have enough because they're always stressed about money. And
Mhm.
for me, when I stopped worrying about money and I just started investing in coaches, I didn't have the money at the time, but it
Mhm.
came to me.
Mhm.
And I didn't worry about how I was going to pay for it because I knew that it was going to come. And even now, sometimes I go to my wallet and there's like $20 or $25. And I'm like, I don't remember putting this money in here, but you know what? I'm thankful. And I realized that the less I stress about money, and
Mhm.
the more I'm just grateful for every single dollar, even if someone pays for my coffee, someone gives me a gift, and just saying thank you because that's a form of money coming to me.
Mhm.
What would you suggest to our listeners to help them to start being more conscious
Mhm.
about their money and shifting their money mindset?
As we said, it starts on the inside. And what that means is really unpacking what your money story is.
Okay.
So we all have receptors, neuroscience that helps our bodies understand what we need. We have a money receptor,
Mm.
and the money receptor tells us where we are. So, for instance, my son saw a sports car that was very expensive, and to him, he looked at that as success.
Okay.
I looked at that as who would spend that much money on a depreciating asset. I was like the practical person, right? But for
Yeah.
him, it was success.
Mm,
So, what is your money receptor? And the best way to figure that out is to find out, like, did your parents talk about money?
mm,
Was it a forbidden topic? How did your mom spend money? Was it for joy and delight, or was it stressful and never for fun things?
mm.
So when you start to see and unpack the story of what happened in your household growing up,
Yeah.
and is that happening in your household? Like your friend, the fact that she's grinding, and always working hard. Well, she probably in her household was taught that you had to work hard for money.
Mm,
And when I started to unpack the stories of, my grandmother, my great grandmother, my great great grandmother, as far back as we can go,
mm,
and what were their money stories, I realized that I'm going to stop that story. They all got married before 17,
mm,
you know, and if they had any money, it was for security. It wasn't for
mm.
opportunity. It was
Wow.
safety.
Wow.
So if you think about that, for me, and the story that I want with my daughter is abundance and joy and fulfillment and aliveness and
Yes.
creativity and opportunity.
Mm,
And for women, recognize that our exposure to money is only within the last 100 years,
mm.
relatively speaking, even though
Wow.
money has existed as global exchange, a means of
Mm,
exchange, for several hundreds of years. But for women to have access, that's really only recently. I mean, even the right to vote
mm.
is only
Yes.
recently, or to have a job without having to get, or a credit card without having to get our husband's approval.
Mm,
So if you think of the socialization around that, not to mention culturally that we all have whatever stuff comes into that story, and then begin to unpack it and say, this is who I'm going to be around money. I'm
yes.
going to change that conversation and come from an empowered perspective. Once you know what the story is what is your receptor?
Mm.
And then give yourself affirmations in a way that are abundant.
Can you share some affirmations that someone could possibly say?
Yeah, like everything I want, I get. I am filled with abundance and joy and love. Money finds me easily.
Mm.
We all know what some of those are.
Yes.
Money finds me easily. That I have gratitude around all of the joy that comes to me.
Yes.
I am a provider that is limitless,
Mm. Love it. Love it.
because money is unlimited. Because remember, money needs you to become something. It needs your ideas,
Mm.
and ideas are unlimited.
Mm.
Think about that.
Yes.
Ideas are unlimited. And if
Yes.
you have an idea where your inside knowing feels good, because money follows joy,
Mm.
not beating it down and struggle. If you're in a job that you're not feeling joy, money wants you to do your passion. Money wants you to do what you love.
Mm.
So whatever that is, get a side hustle or something so that you could pay some of these bills so that you can then have the energy
Mm.
to do the things or figure out what those things are that give
Yes.
you joy and aliveness.
Oh, I
And that's
love
what
that.
happened to me.
Wow. That's
Um,
awesome. No, I love that you said that because yesterday I was cooking dinner and I've had this idea to create a new LLC. I'll tell you a little bit about it later. But the name of the new LLC kept popping in my head as I'm cooking. And I'm like, it was like driving me crazy. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna sit down. Let me see if this name is available. And I
yeah,
registered it
yeah.
last
What's
night.
the URL? Is it available? You get
Yes.
that URL right away, man.
Yes, yes. And I feel good. And I love how you said that. I think that as women, we are very intuitive. Like we know if it feels right, our heart leads us into the right path. And the more that we listen to our intuition, I feel like the less stress I have. And the more I see things falling into alignment, the more joy I feel, the more peaceful I feel, the more love. So, like everything you're saying, I love it because I've experienced it myself as well. And, I think as women, we need to pay more attention to that because, like you said before, I think most women, we just love to give, right? We'll even go above and beyond when we're in relationships. we give men the love that we want to get, even if they're not giving it to us, but like you said, just listening to your heart, listening to your passion. And I love the advice you gave. If there's someone right now, like you're working in a job that you don't like, you feel depressed, you feel like there has to be more to my life than this.
Mhm.
Listen to it, guys. She's giving you some nuggets. Man, I'm so thankful for you, Kim.
Thanks, Rebecca.
So
Thanks.
what are no, go ahead.
Well, you really hit on a couple points that probably need to be explained further.
Yes. Yes.
Um, what you had said about, kind of giving your love to your spouse and you may not get it back, that is not respecting yourself.
Mm,
So you're not going to get it back.
mm,
So having the respect of yourself to say and have those difficult conversations to go, this is what I need from you.
yes.
This is how it's going to work for us.
Mm,
Because you need clear agreements.
yes.
So that gets into this other part is money is looking for you. Well, there are two laws of money, and it's important for the listeners to understand the two laws of money. The first law are human-made laws. That's what we
Mm,
talked about in terms of access in the last 100 years as women
yeah.
is, and it's what I do every day. It's, portfolio construction, tax mitigation, budgeting, spending plan,
Mm,
estate planning. Um, the second laws of money are natural laws. And we already have all of those inside of us.
mm,
But over the years, it's dimmed.
mm,
So natural money laws, you've just named one,
yes.
giving and receiving.
Mm,
You need them both in harmony, giving and receiving in
yes.
harmony, just like you need natural money laws and human laws in harmony,
Mm,
in balance. So that's one, giving and receiving. The other is supply and demand,
mm,
unlimited supply when we ask for it.
yes.
Supply and demand, just like nature,
Mm,
in cause and effect, intention and desire, ebb and flow.
mm.
For your entrepreneurs out there, we love it when it flows. Money flows. We love flow,
Yes.
just like we love flow in life.
Mm-hmm.
But during the ebb season, we have to ebb, just like nature, just like us going to bed at night.
Mm,
Um, the ebbs have to occur for us to re-energize or to grow inside of ourselves so that the next flow we're actually we've taken a class
mm,
or we've done something. How many entrepreneurs during the pandemic actually did things to grow?
yeah.
Because that was an ebb for a bit there for
Yeah.
many, and develop new courses, develop new opportunities. And then the
Yes.
third, based on what you said, Rebecca, is that money loves quick action.
Mm, yes.
Money loves action. Action flows. And so the fact that you immediately was like, okay, this is popping in my head. Let's see if the URL is available. What is out there for this?
Mm,
That is immediate and it felt awesome.
mm-hmm.
And if it didn't feel awesome, then you course correct. Okay, well, that felt good for a little bit, but it's not available. So you do a little adjustment.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you lean in, because ideas are abundant and many of
Yes.
them aren't that great, failure
Yes.
all of a sudden becomes opportunity,
Mm,
opportunity.
mm,
So we fail forward because we're moving forward in an opportunistic way that course correct, course correct, course correct,
mm.
versus, oh my gosh, I'm too afraid. I'm afraid to take that first step.
Yeah.
I may fail. Well, guess what? Money loves failure because it's telling you to do the next step, or it may
Mm,
not be the right time, or the hunches. Okay, it wasn't that, but maybe it's this.
mm-hmm. Yes. I love that. I was actually just talking to my husband about that because like you talked about during the pandemic, that's where I grew my business. I invested in my
Mhm.
first course, I invested in my first coach. I took time to like really develop my apparel website. Like I got a lot done. And where I'm at now versus where I was 3 years ago, it's been an amazing journey. And like each thing that I've invested in, it served its purpose for who I was in that moment. And then
Mhm.
I was able to meet new people, make new connections to help me to elevate to that next level. And I love how
Mhm.
you said, like, we fail forward. Like, nothing that we come across is we have the opportunity to either learn or to grow, right? And, like I love how you said,
Mhm.
just taking the steps, stop being afraid. I love talking about fear, how fear
Mhm.
it paralyzes us and it holds us back because the reality is that
Mhm.
time is going to go by anyway. So we might as
Right.
well jump at the opportunities.
Think of how many people that we knew during the pandemic
Mm, yes.
that were paralyzed, that were stricken with fear, and for
Mm-hmm.
many good reason in terms of health and what was going
Yeah.
on around them. Uh,
Yeah.
but the idea of we had no control over it. We had
Mm-hmm.
control over our actions, whether
Yes.
we chose to do certain things to be better and protect ourselves, but to grow like you did, and I did the same,
Mm,
allowed us. Well, we can't control that, but we can control ourselves. What are we
yes.
going to do to grow and to
Yes.
feel in control in this little body,
Mm.
big body,
Yeah.
depending on the day?
It fluctuates, we fluctuate
It's
up and
whatever.
down.
Today it's a big body. And that was
I
also
love
the
it.
pandemic.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
Yeah, but either way, you love yourself, and that's all that matters at the end of the day, right?
that's right. That's right.
Yes. No, but I love all of that you shared because when things happen in life, like you just said, you had no control. We had no control about what was going on in the world, what was closed, what was open, like everything outside of us except for us. And I think that's so
Mhm.
important because when we go through things in life, sometimes we allow the things that happen, those exterior things, whether it's people, whether it's problems that are happening around us, we allow those things to sway us around like waves, right? But when we take control and we know, listen, I can't control what that person did or didn't do. All I can control is how I react, what I
Mhm.
do and
Mhm.
don't do. You
Right.
know, I love
That's
that.
right.
So,
And the fact that natural money laws are inside of us already,
mm,
just like nature, just like the ebb and flow of life, money is the same.
yes.
And so if you had a battery, like a flashlight with batteries in it,
Mm,
that first battery is a money battery
mm,
because that money battery charges your health battery, your relationship battery, your well-being battery that shines your light.
mm,
And you got to like make sure that you restore and are in alignment with your receptors around money
mm,
because money wants your ideas and your creativity and your money wants you to show up as you
mm.
because we're all uniquely us, whatever that is. Many of us are still trying to figure out who that is.
Yeah.
But when you follow your joy and aliveness and delight, then your creativity and curiosity expand.
Mm,
And that if I think of that snap back in my 20s,
mm-hmm,
that snap actually pulled out courage.
mm.
And the courage was shine the light. And what do I not like about that light? And
Yeah.
what do I need to change?
Yes. Self-reflection, man. It is amazing. I have an interview I did a few weeks ago with a friend of mine. We were talking about that. Like self-reflection is key for us to heal things in us and then to be able to grow and go where we need to go. So I love that you mentioned that. Like shine the light on yourself. Don't be afraid to look
Mhm,
in the mirror and see what's inside of you. What are your belief systems around money? What are
mhm.
your belief systems about yourself? And what things have been ingrained in us that we need to unlearn.
That's right. That's
Because,
right.
like, I know for me, especially in the Latino community, a lot of times it's that ethic. You got to work hard for your money. Um, there's never enough. If there's opportunities, like when I joined my first network marketing business and I told my parents about it, they're like, "No, it's a scam. Don't do it. They're gonna take your money."
Mhm,
But
mhm,
I didn't let that hold me back.
mhm,
But I also know that not everybody thinks that way. So, like, if there's someone listening right now that
Mm.
is right now struggling with money. They feel like they're always broke. They have 2 or 3 jobs. They selling food. They're doing everything
Mhm.
they can and they can never seem to get ahead in life. Where can that person start to change that trajectory?
I know it sounds trite, but it really is. What messages did they get growing up
Mm,
that they are carrying with them of struggle and scarcity
mm,
versus abundance and joy? So
yes.
that could be generations before her
Mm,
that it thinks is her when it's her grandmother or
mm,
great grandmother.
yeah.
Um, and once you think, oh wow, these are limiting beliefs. These are beliefs that I have that are holding me back. I
Mm,
am busting my butt here, and I'm
yes.
not I'm not getting ahead.
Mm,
So what does that just say? Just that sentence, what does that tell you? That's a
mm,
limiting belief.
yes.
I'm not getting ahead
Mm,
versus I can't wait to do what I love. I can't wait to see what's in front of me. I can't wait to ask the higher self, what direction should I take that's in front of me? I have this path and this path. This path isn't working for me today. This path has not worked for me, nor my mom, nor my grandma.
mm,
What path does this look like? Show me the next step I need to take
mm,
and the next step. Just steps.
yes.
Because remember, money is looking for you.
Mm,
Start to be conscious around how to find it, how,
mm,
how, how your light is bright enough for money to find you.
yes. Did you hear that, ladies? Money's looking for you right now. It is looking for you. So you
Mm-hmm.
don't have to be stressing about it because just knowing when you start to believe that it's going to find you, it comes to you. And
It does.
before I started to see it, I was a little skeptical, I was what do you mean? But as I started to change my money mindset and just seeing, like, one of my favorite affirmations is money comes to me in expected and unexpected ways.
Love that.
And then just thanking every time I do get money. Like I said, if somebody gives me a cup of coffee, that's money that came to me.
That's right.
If I made a sale, no matter how much it is, I celebrate it. And I
Yeah,
think people don't realize, like, the more that you are grateful, the more you are given.
very true. Very true. Another affirmation is my beliefs create good things for me.
Mm, I love that.
Because we were just talking about beliefs or limited
Yes.
beliefs, but my
Yes.
beliefs create good things for me.
Yes. I love that.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's so much in what we say, not just how we think and what we say, but being intentional, like, these things aren't just gonna happen. Like, we're not gonna wake up tomorrow just thinking, Kim and I, like, we didn't just wake up tomorrow and just like, oh yeah, my money mindset changed. It takes work. It
It
takes
does.
intentionality. Like she said, reflect, like, ask yourself those questions. I love asking questions because questions bring clarity. And
Mhm.
with clarity, we get more awareness. And with more awareness, we're able to make different choices. And with the different choices we make, we're able to get different outcomes.
Mm.
And, I,
That's the holy grail right there. You just nailed it. You just
yes,
nailed it.
yes,
I deserve money. I deserve
yes,
abundance. I
yes,
deserve love. I deserve
yes,
what relationships, whatever it is, you are worthy.
yes. I love you, Kim.
I love you, Rebecca.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy that I was able to meet you. A little backstory of how Kim and I met. I'm part of a women's group, and we have a mutual friend, and she connected us. She was like, "Oh my God, I think you guys would do great." And when Kim and I first met a few weeks ago online, I was like, "You're my friend. Like, we're friends." I love that about when I
Mhm.
connect with women and we just hit it off. Like, so now I have a friend in Colorado that
That's
I'm gonna
right.
because I'm dying to go to Colorado. You're just gonna have to start sending me pictures to get me, so I could start printing them out and making it even more real.
That's right, for that vision board.
Yes, yes, for sure. Well, Kim, I always like to ask, if there's something in your heart that maybe you believe that a woman needs to hear in this moment when it comes to this topic,
Mhm.
and she's really struggling financially. She doesn't even know where to begin, and she wants to have money find her,
Mhm.
but something that you would just say to speak that life into her. What would you say?
I would look her in the eyes and I would say, you are loved. I
Mhm.
love you. You are worthy.
Yes.
You are deserving. And that no amount of money can create an extraordinary life.
Mm,
It's really up to us. It's up to you.
yes.
And it starts with loving yourself first.
Mm, yes. I love that. She's speaking my language, guys. Now you know why I love her. Kim, if anyone would, want to follow you on social,
Mhm.
um, connect with you, could you share where they could find
Yes,
you?
I would love to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Kim Curtis YouTube. I have a ton of videos like um, is now a good time to buy a car?
Mm,
We talked about inflation the other day, how to buy a house, or different types of transitional topics that are really,
okay.
really helpful.
Okay.
And then I have an Instagram page, I have a couple Instagram pages, but I'm going to give the one Happiness Doesn't Retire
Okay.
is the Instagram, and also Kim Curtis Prosperity.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Kim, for your time. I appreciate you. I appreciate your nuggets, and I'm sure my listeners are going to as well. Thank you guys for listening in. Please share this podcast episode with someone who needs to hear this. Share it on your Instagram story, share it on your Facebook, share, 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 because there's a lot of people that need to hear this information. If you would like for me to talk on any subjects, if you have any questions, please feel free to send me an email at inspireherwithin@gmail.com. You can also connect with me at Inspire Her Mindset on Instagram and Rebecca Fillmore on Facebook. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll talk to you guys soon. God bless.